Well, hello, welcome back, my body language buddies. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy, and welcome to episode 104 of the Jesus Enrique Rosas show. This is great. I have some news. Before we begin. You know that I was telling you that right now, by the way, right now we're live on YouTube on the body language guy channel, on Rumble, on my Body Language Guide channel on Rumble as well, and on X on Kinesics. So you can remember that you can follow me using the link in the description. We are live on 3 channels now. I have some, let's say, bad news. I'm gonna need to talk about this before we begin, because I told you yesterday that I wanted to stream to as many platforms as possible. And in fact, yesterday when I ended the live stream, I began testing vertical live streaming, and there are good news. I made it. I could do all the technical, wizardry to being able to literally stream horizontally to all these platforms that we are right now, and vertically to platforms such as Instagram and TikTok. The issue is that I hit a roadblock, especially on TikTok. As in, I was testing this morning. Maybe you're coming from TikTok. I was live on TikTok this morning. Some of you watch me, and it was a complete test. Okay, if you were there, a big shout out to Kiki and. Recollections may vary that helped me navigate the stuff. It turns out that TikTok, you cannot play a clip of anything without TikTok telling you that you're using content from someone else. And I said, okay, but how does that work? How can you have a commentary live stream on TikTok if you don't have, the footage and images? Even images, still images trigger a notification. Your live stream has been put in TikTok jail. You're not gonna be discoverable. And I said, oh my God, I went through all this trouble for this. And well, lesson learned. As for Instagram, I decided that it was not worth the bother to just have one vertical platform. And as for Facebook, by the way, I need to tell you as well that I remember, I had forgotten. You know that sometimes one forgets. I forgot that in 2024, I had a Facebook page with close to 80,000 subscribers on Facebook, and it was removed without any right of appeal. I couldn't talk to anybody. There was no appeal possible, just because I was campaigning for Donald Trump. It was that simple, and just because I was analyzing Kamala Harris, it seems, in an unfair way. So without any warning, Facebook just cut me off. So what I decided is what I was doing up till now is that whatever goes on my Royal Road channel that that is quite vanilla, family friendly, it goes into my Body Language Guy channel on Facebook. So I don't get into it. I have some kind of presence there, because at the same time, there's another problem. People have been copying my videos, copying and pasting my videos on Facebook. And the only way I have to call them out is to have an actual presence there, which I didn't have for many months. So that this has been evolving really quickly from yesterday to now. And the too long didn't read summary of this is that I will be only live streaming to YouTube, Rumble, and X for the foreseeable future. I think it's going to be more efficient. And the overhead is going to be, I just wanted to know I can do this. And I literally did it. All the technical stuff was in place, but it was not feasible because TikTok is, these platforms that they don't want to get into trouble. To some extent, I want to shout out to YouTube that even if I can get crazy sometimes, they still have, certain leeway. Maybe they still treat me like I'm, a good boy. So we need to address, we need to start today's show. I wanted to tell you that. So in case you said, what happened to your vertical streams, Jesus? What happened to your vertical streaming? What happened to that? All those experiments you were doing, I need to confirm that everything is going well with the stream. Okay, yep. We are live on Rumble and on X. Let me see. Just to confirm. It was a quick confirmation. Yes, I see myself. All right. Denmark rejects Trump's offer for Greenland. EU says they are walking away from tariff deal. Rally fades and markets fall. And now I have another day to get the legacy money to clear, says Peter B. I'm going to be reviewing that. We are ready to begin. Let me see. The headshot and chat screen. And remember that the best way to support my channel and all my channels is just to like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. And if you feel it fancy, you can also donate with the button in the description of this video. That is the best way. Let me see. Let me get my bearings here. Make sure that okay. We thought we are here, and we are ready to begin. We have some crazy stuff, and with the crazy stuff, let's start with the cute stuff. That's some cute stuff to start with. And the cute stuff to start with is that JD and Usha Vance are expecting their fourth child. And that is so awesome and so amazing and big. All the blessings, all the love and bliss to them. We're very excited to share the news that Usha is pregnant with our fourth child, a boy. Usha and the baby are doing well, and we are looking forward to welcoming him in late July. During this exciting and hectic time, we are particularly grateful for the military doctors who take excellent care of our family and for the staff members who do so much to ensure that we can serve the country while enjoying a wonderful life with our children. That is so amazing. It's so amazing. Only there's a caveat to that Marco Rubio has just found out that on top of all that he's doing, he's going to be also the nanny of the Vances. I would pay good money to watch that. Maybe we could build that, or I don't know, create that with AI. There's a lot that I have to talk about AI today, but don't be afraid. I'm going to make it as simple as you can imagine, because it turns out, that the World Economic Forum is all about AI this year. Like, they fancy that Bill Gates is for AI on healthcare. That's one topic that we're going to address. Let's go through the topics that we're going to be reviewing today, so you're aware. Let's see. One of the topics is, yes, Bill Gates announces of the World Economic Forum that he's pushing AI in healthcare. That is one thing. The author of Sapiens, a book that I used to have on my bookshelf, I'm going to explain why I no longer have that book, also was pushing AI. I forgot to mention that Trump is going to, make insane asylums great again. That is great for many reasons. Another topic that we will be addressing. Maybe we'll have time to talk about what is going on in Virginia. Virginia wants to become the next Minnesota, it seems. And also maybe, in the more gossipy side of things, we will address the new text messages that have popped up from between Blake Lively and Taylor Swift. And Baldoni is in the crossfire. And there's this topic about the UK, about this anime girl. I need to say a couple of things about this. And some AI slop that Ben Affleck, Batfleck, said that is not going anywhere. People are trying to prove him wrong. I also have a word or two about that. So we're ready to begin. I am ready to begin. Are these streams daily now? Yeah, these streams are daily now, Miss Wheezy USA. daily, as in every day from Monday to Friday. And if I'm feeling like it, most likely yes, they will be a little bit later on weekends, maybe at 2 p.m. Eastern time on weekends, just because I just love, there's so much happening. I like to talk about everything that is happening. So most likely I will be talking about that, everything on weekends as well. Oh, you don't want me to burn out? Don't worry. If I need a couple of days off, if I want, I don't know, maybe it can be a bit shorter on weekends as well. I also have to republish all the topics that I talk about on these live streams, which is important as well, because you like, the independent topics as a standalone videos, which I have a nice system right now. Not perfect, but I'm perfecting it. But hombre, Democrat activist groups organized a national Free America walkout today to protest the anniversary of Trump's inauguration. They expected 10 million participants. 43,000 signed up and only 6,000 participated. All right. Turns out you can't walk out of a job when you're unemployed. This is something. This is something that, let's say, it didn't go well for them. And it's not going to go well for the EU as well, because it turns out that the European Union officially suspended the trade deal with the United States, Bloomberg reports. I will elaborate about this in terms of that Trump is basically doing this tug of war match between the United States and the European Union to send them a message. And Greenland is part of that message. And there's a very good video of 12 minutes that we are not going to watch. I'm going to summarize that for you. That explains what is Trump doing in regards, especially to the UK and Germany after everything that has happened after World War II. There's another thing about communists, by the way, and let's say that Democrats are not going to like this, because you know that Democrats are not only communists, but they love communists and criminals. I mean, I don't know why Democrats haven't voted for a hug a communist today, a day to hug communists, or a hug to give criminals, invite criminals for dinner. I don't know. Maybe that's one step that they're going to make at any point. If only Congress just unfroze with that filibuster that maybe I will talk about that this week. So Maria Corina Machado just said that she has full confidence in President Trump liberating all of Latin America from communism. I hope I had, let's say, the same optimism of Machado. I am not that optimistic because, again, it's Trump could have the best intentions. I'm pretty sure that Trump is going to be one of the most consequential, not only presidents of the United States, but figures of this era. That is not a hyperbole, but there's so much, you know how things work in the United States. Everything is so slow. It's so slow. It is by design. I can understand. It is by design. Some things have to be slow, but the way that this has been hijacked, that mandate that has been hijacked, is it's concerning. We are 1 year into Trump's last term, and let's say still so much to do in the world, but maybe everything is going to happen at once. And sometimes what happens at once is that maybe you go to a buffet. Maybe you go to a buffet and you say you get enthusiastic about everything. You want a little bit of something. And that reminds me that I need to, before we begin with the actual topics, the heavy topics. Oh, no, wait, this is a heavy topic as well. This is a health ambassador in Wales, United Kingdom. And yes, you're gonna make fun of me. Go ahead, make my day. And the how I pronounce Wales. All right. So that's that. I had to post that on X that I didn't know that there was a Princess of Wales. I mean, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. There's a Princess of Wales and a Princess of Wales. Yeah, I don't know how to. I don't know what is the difference between the two words in terms of. I will check my pronunciation coach as soon as I finish this live stream. But we need to at least listen to her. Maybe she has something to tell us that is worthy of our attention.
A person who is from an ethnic minority background, some communities it's actually taboo to, and it's quite a sensitive topic to talk about. So if you're not being able to learn about these things through the medium of school, then where do you learn? And I wish when I was in school we were, they teach us in Welsh back and back about, how to apply for a bank account and how to, get a job. But what about things like how to check if, do a breast exam? How do I know if, signs of cervical cancer, screenings, when am I supposed to get those? The things that are going to prolong my life, So why don't we teach these things before we teach, how to get a job? Because if I'm not living long enough, how am I going to get?
I think I understood every word she said, but I did not understood. I did not understand what she meant. Good one, Kathy Cat. I like it chunky. Yeah, I think this is more than chunky. There's gonna be levels of chunky, and this is a bit let's say overboard. But why are you like this? This is the kind of comments that I can highlight, but I cannot say. This is the kind of comments. If I said that for example, if I said this. We were talking about TikTok. I'm pretty sure that if I spoke about this on TikTok, I would be banned in minutes. I'm sure that I would be banned on Facebook as well. So I think that I made the right call doing this with this approach. But we need to talk about the UK once more, because to cater to the new Muslim population in the UK, we had already spoken about this. That the marrying your cousin is not that bad of an idea, according to the NHS, the National Health Service in the UK. It's okay to marry your cousin and have offspring with your cousin, but they are doubling down with this. I mean, doubling down as in it is actually beneficial for community. They used to say that, okay, it's not a problem, it's not that much of a big deal, but no, it is beneficial for the community. And I have to say something. I don't know how people are gonna take this, but there's a saying, I don't know if people still say that in Venezuela. You know that in the 80s and in the 70s and the 80s, everything was wild. We used to be a proper civilization. Every country was different. Back in the 70s and the 80s. France, Canada, Germany, everything was different back then. The United States, Venezuela. And I remember that in the 80s, I remember this expression in Venezuela that they say, la carne de primo se come. Which means literally, cousin meat is edible. You can actually eat cousin meat. I mean, they're not talking about cannibalism. They're talking about the other kind of eating. The metaphor, yes, you got that metaphor right, but it's crazy. It's not about having offspring that the sentence was about or the statement was about. It's like, more like that things could happen. I always found that funny, and it's maybe you have a similar anecdote about that. I want to judge. I mean, that's happening back in the day. But right now, we have actual encouragement. Actual encouragement of that. They admit that yes, your child will have a much higher risk of being retarded, of a birth defect, but it will generate collective social capital. Okay, Habsburg, you're on fire, Kathy Cat. Habsburg jaw is the trend now. Yeah, it's like they want to make the Habsburg jaw great again, and we don't want that. We don't want that at all. And no, it's just like, no. Britain's National Health Service says marriage and procreation, please. Man-made horrors beyond our comprehension. What is this? Banjo lessons. We don't have banjos in Venezuela. I always wanted to play the banjo, with the wheat straw in the mouth, but no, just play the banjo. Nothing regarding cousins, please. Procreation between first cousins can be beneficial, and the risks have been exaggerated. New documents show that the NHS guidance to midwives states 15% of cousin couples have children that are affected by genetic conditions, compared to just 3% of children born to unrelated parents. However, the guidelines then go on to describe the benefits of cousin marriages, saying it can provide financial and social security and generate collective social capital. I mean, that is another word for collective retardation. It's like that is the fastest way to shave 20 points off the collective IQ of your population, if you are into it. If you want to become Somalia, do you want to become Somalia? That's how you become Somalia, or a room temperature, very cold room temperature IQ population. No, that is an absolute no-go zone. Sickle cell disease, cystic fibrosis, and muscular dystrophy are some of the genetic issues more common among the children of closely I was about to say closely retarded parents, because at the same time I would be directionally right, even if that was a typo. Closely related parents.
Britain's National Health Service says marriage and procreation between first cousins can be beneficial, and the risks have been, quote, exaggerated. New documents show that the NHS guidance to midwives states 15% of cousin couples have children that are affected by genetic conditions, compared to just 3% of children born to unrelated parents. However, the guidelines then go on to describe the benefits of cousin marriages, saying it can provide financial and social security and generate collective social capital. Sickle cell disease, cystic fibrosis, and muscular dystrophy are some of the genetic issues more common among the children of closely related parents.
I wonder who is behind this kind of messages. And sometimes you don't have to wonder much, because again, we are here to talk about the World Economic Forum. And you remember Klaus Schwab? Klaus Schwab admits he has lost control and continues to lose the narrative that one society, public trust in him. He claims this narrative has guided humanity since the beginning and steered people toward what he calls a better future. It seems that not anymore, because, the itsy bugs is no more. Climate change is no more. Greta Thunberg is, I think that she has added that open for work in LinkedIn right now, because she's basically out of a job right now, unless she begins to advocate for, I don't know, Palestine. I don't know how. I'm pretty sure that we can have a combination of words for that. Captain is the bugs. Schwab says the level of pushback he now faces has made international cooperation nearly impossible. It means that Trump was elected. That is the the translation. Why? Because the pushback has always been there. What changed? What's changed that there's a new sheriff in the world? And the new sheriff is, well, doing the thing that a sheriff has to do. He says the elites are now being forced to think about how to create an entirely new narrative. Now let's hear it from the Lord himself.
I think that we are losing a narrative which has guided humankind since its beginning. It's the narrative that you are here and you owe your existence also to prepare a better future. If you go back to the agricultural society, even to the beginnings during the whole time of the industrial society, there was this drive to create a better world for the future. Today, with all the crises which we have, with the multitude of problems we are confronted with, I think we have become much more egocentric on an individual and also on a national way. That makes international cooperation so much more difficult, by the way.
Yeah, that is important, Klaus. I mean, that is, I think that people need to have some degree of egocentricity. I think that is you have to be egocentric, at least in, let's say, in a minimum, let's say a 10%, maybe a 20% way. That is important. And even more so, countries who want their cultures not to disappear, not to be diluted in the influx of abroadians that will not assimilate to the native population and will, of course, displace and replace the native population. But we all know that this is part of this plan that is out there on a PDF by the United Nations, in which it is clearly outlined how this works and how globalism works. May this heterogeneous mass of people that will not be able to defend themselves, will not be able to organize themselves, because you have this Tower of Babel, and which essentially it's the same strategy. Nobody would be able to organize against the government. This is about control. This has always been against control, and now the question arises: why is the AI the new focus of this? And that's why we need to talk about our first actual topic, entering the actual topic, the first topic of today. We need to talk about Bill Gates, who is pushing for AI in healthcare. I know that he was all for, vaccines. He was all for all this engineered food, and now he's for AI in healthcare. And this is just right now, very recent. You know that Bill Gates is one of the most recurring guests of the Body Language Guy channel. My headphones just fell. And this is a new one. This is something I had never heard him talking about AI up till now. Maybe healthcare, of course, with all the vaccines and all these initiatives that he wanted to do. And Bill Gates announces at the World Economic Forum that his artificial intelligence is being rolled out into the healthcare system. Which healthcare system? I have to ask. Can we ask that question? Which country? He reveals a new partnership with OpenAI. Oh my God. Aimed at integrating AI directly into health systems worldwide. Gates says that he wants AI healthcare linked across systems, likely combining digital health records, biometric ID, digital payments, and mass data sharing. Now, one word about this. I had envisioned this a long time ago in terms of, imagine that you could have your physician, your doctor, could have access to this massive database of all the other doctors in the world, in every language, about all their knowledge, and tap into that instantly, and AI being the bridge into that. And even in AI assisting doctors in being more efficient at spotting illnesses, symptoms, and everything. That is, let's say, on paper, that is feasible. The problem is when you add all the data sharing, that the mass data sharing, in which, for example, your health history, right? That's how you say that. All your health records will be shared with all the data centers in the world of every other AI that is working like this. Your health records would have to be shared with OpenAI, the makers of ChatGPT, that you know how this goes. That ChatGPT wants to rule the world. They are trying to do everything at once. They want to win the AI race, and they want to do everything. And this is really risky. Why? Because it means that it's the end of the perhaps the most private things about yourself, about us. That is health, about our bodies. Because it's not going to be only if we have an illness or something, it's everything, our DNA, everything that we have, let's say, suffer along our lives on a record that an AI is going to train on, and who's going to have access to that data in which ways. We don't know. And also, this is also important, biometric ID, because of course you have to be on a database that can identify you as a human being worldwide. Yes, this absolutely sounds like what a globalist agenda would want. And it is, again, I want to say this. It is on paper, this would be ideal. This would be an utopia. This would be an actual, one of the best, the most awesome feats in terms of healthcare in the history of humanity. But all the ways that this can be weaponized against the public, I don't know. The risks like override that it's are way too big in terms of the actual reward that we can get from this. But let's hear this from the man itself, what he has to say. Social currency of health, that is a way to approach that, Ms. Black Cat. But let's listen to this.
So the AI is entering into the health system, but not just into the health system, it's all the way down to the level of the patient. So the patient is able to talk in their local language and describe what's going on. And so in order to make this a reality, to see what works, what doesn't work, we're thrilled that OpenAI and the Gates Foundation are committing an initiative called Horizon 1000, where we'll go into 1,000 primary healthcare clinics in Africa. And the goal is to make the work there much higher quality and, if possible, twice as efficient as it is today, taking away the paperwork that needs to be done, organizing the resources, so the patient knows what's available and when to come for their appointment. So there's all sorts of things can be improved. Rwanda has been a great partner for the Gates Foundation in a lot of things, and so we're thrilled that that's actually the first country that this work will go into. We'll certainly also, over time, work in Kenya, South Africa, Nigeria, and you have different systems that we have to connect into. Although not this initiative, there's obviously a lot going on in India as well. And so, over the next couple of years, I would expect developing world health may even get ahead of rich world because the need is so great, and the governments are embracing this and making sure that it's moving at full speed.
Okay, I'm going to say something that might surprise you, but he said one thing that makes sense. He said one thing that makes sense, and using AI to help doctors and physicians to, all this paperwork that they have to fill, and they have to spend all this time filling this paperwork, all the records, all the things that they have to, all these forms, all this, all this thing that is not their actual medical work. Maybe AI could be great to help them with that. Okay, that is a way that we could say, okay, AI could assist on the administrative side of healthcare. Uh, I think that is okay, I guess, as long as the identity of the people who are treated are remain private. In fact, the idea of this, if you scale this to the world, the idea is if you can have this massive database. Imagine that you have a database of 5 billion people. Let's say that we get to 5 billion people. The amount of data that you will have in terms of health will be massive. But at the same time, we have a big problem with this. We have an ethical question that needs to be answered. Because if an AI takes control or suggests or has any sort of say in what is the health of any citizen of any country, and then I can't see how things like this are not going to happen. As in, take Canada, for example. They don't have the AI, and they're already saying, oh, you can't pay your rent? Have you considered, I don't know, killing yourself? That is an option. That is also an option. The made option in Canada, which is basically a self-deletion. You self-delete because, well, I don't know, there's nothing to be done about you. You have a cough that doesn't go away. You think that you can't live with that? Well, made is for you. So that is not the kind of questions, that is not the kind of scenarios that you leave an AI, a machine, an LLM, we're going to talk about that in a minute, to decide. Not even have a suggestion for a doctor, not even have a suggestion for a patient, because we already know what has happened with the ChatGPT, not even being involved in healthcare. People have died under horrific circumstances. This is not going well, and this is because of something that I will explain, that is the non-deterministic nature of this tool. So there's the best of intentions, maybe not a word that I use when I'm talking about Bill Gates, not something that we think of. Bill Gates has good intentions, but the health records, the digital payments, it means that you will be tracked. You will be tracked in some way, either by your biometrics, either by your identity, either by your DNA, because of course, if you're going to have genetic treatments or treatments based on genetics, you need to keep track of people's DNA. And imagine that would be, I'm not gonna lie, I am a big fan of science fiction. I have thought about science fiction since I was a kid, and I have thought about every single scenario. Some of you have said that this sounds like Star Trek. I agree. I highlighted your comment. We are at the gates, pun intended, of something that could be completely awesome or completely horrific. And since I have been studying human nature for quite a while, the odds of it being completely horrific are way too high, are too damn high, like the meme. This is not the way that we want this to happen. This is way too much power on the wrong hands. I wish, as people say, I would like to walk on the street at any time and feel safe. It depends on the city, of course, but you need to be wary. You have to be responsible for yourself. I wish that this could work. This is the same. I wish that this could work the way Bill Gates paints it, but I know that it will never work like this. There's just too many interests. And this is not even mentioning the word incentives. Imagine the incentives of big pharma and big food and big government and big spending, big everything around this. The incentives would be massive. We're talking about trillions of dollars at stake. So that is, even if they try to convince us that no, it's not about the money, there will still be money involved in every single stage. So how can we trust this? Very good, nice, on paper, amazing, but I just don't trust these people. Always follow the money. You don't even have to follow the money. The money still doesn't exist because it has not been implemented. But if it is implemented and they're going to find a way to force this upon us at some point, rest assured that money, power, and especially control is going to be a big part of it. But I would like to know what you think about this in the comments. Remember that all these topics are going to be in all my channels for future reference. And well, yeah, this that is Canada with MAID. That is Canada is going through a very rough spot with MAID. Something that, yeah, trust yourself. We need to have some sanity. We need to try to how to say this? Try to analyze this. That is my job in here. That is my job. Trying to make sense of all this. So what is happening and why are they pushing for all these AI narratives? I want to organize my next topic properly. And why are they pushing for all this? What are the interests? And one of them is healthcare. One of them is healthcare. And of course, what are they going to say? They're going to tell you, oh, it's for your own good. It's for your own good. Why are you against this? It would be better for anybody. Maybe you have this strange disease, and maybe somebody has that strange disease in Japan, and thanks to this, collective data, then your disease can be treated. But again, the risks are, the interests are way too much. So let's talk about a bit more about Davos and AI to realize that this is way more sinister than you can imagine. This has ramifications that we are still trying to deal with. And the thing with Davos and AI is that you remember that Davos, the World Economic Forum, was all about what? Was all about climate change. Climate change is the risk, global warming, then global cooling, then climate change, then eat the bugs. You have to eat grasshoppers, which I wouldn't say if you go to Mexico, maybe you can opt to eat grasshoppers if you want. That is one thing. Or you go to parts of Asia, you can eat a soup of scorpions if you fancy that. But it's an option. It's not that something that's going to be forced into you. But luckily, we are not going to be forced any sort of bugs or climate change anymore. But for some reason, they're pushing AI. And this is strange. Because if we want to know who is pulling the strings, why are they pulling that, we need to figure out their intentions. What are their intentions behind of this? We already saw in the terms of healthcare, how could it work? Work for them, of course, with their interests. But now, suddenly, Larry Fink and the elites in Davos have switched from going all in on climate change to now all in on AI. No more shilling for wind and solar. AI cannot survive on intermittent energy. They are now all in on coal-burning power plants and nuclear power. I told you so. And I'm going to mention also this piece by Data Republican. Data Republican is at Davos right now, finding out, trying to make sense of what is going on and why is everybody talking about AI. First, we're going to watch the clips to see how the narrative has changed. This was a while ago.
The world is going to be short power. Short power. And to power these data companies, you cannot have just this intermittent power like wind and solar. You need dispatchable power because you can't turn off and on these data centers.
Yeah, you need all the power that you need.
We believe that outside the United Nations, this is the largest gathering
of global leadership of the post-COVID period of time. For many people, this meeting feels out of step with the moment. We hear all about the elites. And how does that play out in an age of populism? How does an established institution make a difference in an era of deep institutional mistrust? And there's some truth to the critique. I believe in this forum for a long time. I certainly wouldn't be leading this if I didn't believe that we can change and make the world better. But it's also obvious that the world now places far less trust in us to help shape what comes next.
I wonder why there's less trust now to help shape what comes next, because your intentions have always been murky at best. Murky at best. Why are you pushing AI? Data Republican was trying to answer that question. Early Davos impressions will need to process, consolidate into an article, but so far, there's kind of a distributed consciousness at play here. Almost nobody I talk to knows what the AI stuff is about. In concrete details, what is the plan? That is the issue. You remember that if you have been following my shows, and I strongly encourage you to watch my shows and watch my videos on these topics, because I always reference things that I've said on previous shows. I'm going to talk about the magic box. OpenAI is building a magic box. Elon Musk is building a magic box. Also, Google is building its magic box. They work awesomely. They're awesome magic boxes, but none of these guys, none of these companies actually know what the magic box is capable of. And I'm gonna be talking about that in one section of this. But this is the actual problem. Nobody knows in concrete details what's gonna be the future like. These people are building tools that they don't know what is the extent of the power of these tools, how people will use these tools, or what will be the real impact in humanity. Go figure. And they are spending every cent on energy, on chips, on infrastructure, on something that they have a vague idea, but some of them are terrified. They just have vibes, and yet they drop almost all the infamous climate justice and most of the DEI sloganeering for AI. In my research, when there's a shift going on and nobody can name it, it usually means an underlying second-order crisis, not as simplistic as we want to control you all with AI. Well, as for me, I like to go simplistic sometimes, and I think that, if AI is trained on woke or leftist ideals and concepts and principles and everything, it's obviously that what is going to spew out, the answers that it's going to have are going to be biased with that. And even Grok, even Elon Musk's AI has been found guilty of that. Go figure. So everything is a vibe, they vibe off each other in feel-good slogans. I don't know if this is the normal, or this is a transition year, because they don't know what to do with AI. Earth-shaking concrete changes have come from the World Economic Forum before, like the very real ESG metrics that Schwab put out. You remember the ESG metrics, what I forgot the actual acronym of ESG, but those were the directives that every company in the world had to push for, and that was part of this interest of control as well. Now, I'm going to continue here with the rest of Data Republicans. The shift could also be due to the new leadership. If advertisement are anything to go by, the big four accounting companies are the most powerful companies on earth. There's a strange sense of desperation at losing the narrative here. And I wanted to highlight this comment from Cernovich. Cerno says in public it's all hype and talking their books and getting monopoly money valuations on startups. In private, almost everyone is afraid. No one really knows. What is Cerno talking about? This is not vague posting. He's afraid that the people building these magic boxes don't really know what is the extent of the power of these magic boxes. This is the problem. We want AI. We absolutely want AI in some form or shape or another. But what would be the applications? And how are we? This is more important. The most important thing is, how are they going to get their investment back? Because rest assured that these people are not investing in AI as the future of humanity out of the bottom and the kindness of their hearts. No, there's an investment because money would be like the easiest one, is the most basic one. And these people already have money. They are staying at Davos, and Davos is like 25,000 according to Data Republican. She saw rooms at $25,000 a night for the World Economic Forum. So these people have the money, and money to spare. They would want the power. They would be power hungry, and they will be control hungry, which is something maybe they get off on control. That could be it at the same time. I think that is what they aiming for. But the problem is the nature of the beast they have in their hands. Because when we talk about replacement, for example, we were talking about replacement. You take some Abrodians from these shithole countries, and you make sure that they come in dinghies to your country, and you let them in, and you pay for their houses, and for their food, and for clothes, and education, and everything, just because of that, because you spend all that taxpayer money on them, and you saw like something concrete. Okay, the something concrete was their replacement. That is an actual thing, and we knew because of the Biden. In terms of Biden, we could be talking about the UK, but in this case, in the Biden administration in the United States, the open borders was made with the goal of transforming the outcome of the elections, so Democrats couldn't lose an election again, and they almost got away with it. So critical that they almost got away with it. By the way, remember that we're still expecting for Congress to unfreeze for the SAVE Act in the United States to be passed. So there's voting ID. There's an ID, personal ID, to be required for voting. Because it's crazy. You can vote in so many states without requiring an ID, which is insane. But at least in all these schemes, you could see that there was like these steps. You let this Abrodians, these illegals, these criminals in, so you can have control of the population who have to fight the criminals. And no, you can call them xenophobic, Islamophobic, Venezuela-phobic, whatever. That is a plan. That's 1, 2, 3. But the problem with AI is that they have absolutely no idea how the plan is going to pan out. They don't know. And this is healthcare, the first thing that we were talking about. What about when the United States government, Pete Hegseth himself, says that they will begin using Grok, Elon Musk's AI, for stuff in the Department of War? Are we going full Skynet? How do we know that this is going to work? I'm going to explain how this works in a minute, but I would like to know, what do you think about this topic of what is going on with Davos and AI in the comments? What do you think about this in the comments? So, moving forward and looking at your comments. That's like, I need to go to a movie but not to vote. It is insane. Yeah, it's insane in so many ways. I don't know how that works. But I do know that we need to talk about AI. We need to talk about AI. Maybe I can bring my let me see, my thumbnail here. I want to talk about AI with my thumbnail and open my thoughts about AI and my explanation how AI works, so you have a better idea of what we are dealing with. Maybe I can go for the image itself. Wait a second. No, I cannot. I can go for the image itself. But we can begin like this. Let's do this. I'm gonna explain you why these people have no idea what's coming with the very AI that they're building. So the big problem with AI nowadays is that the people building the AI have no real idea of what is the extent of the power of the magic boxes that they are building. And maybe by this point, if maybe you're watching this live stream, you're watching my video, we are in 2026. By this point, most likely you have already used some sort of AI. Maybe you have used ChatGPT. Maybe you have used, I don't know, maybe Gemini or Meta's AI, which I always forget to mention Facebook's AI, which, by the way, Facebook failed with their metaverse experiment that they wanted to push their virtual insanity into us. But sticking to AI, the issue is that you have noticed that you ask ChatGPT a question and you get a response. And for some reason you ask ChatGPT the question, and sometimes you notice you're just asking ChatGPT for some kind of reinforcement, or you just want an opinion on something that you have been thinking about, and you want an opinion from ChatGPT, all right? So ChatGPT says something that maybe makes 90% sense to you, and the 10% left is something unhinged, and you say, hey, wait, ChatGPT, that doesn't make sense. You are maybe making things up. Maybe you're answering something that I did not ask. Maybe you are leading me to something that can harm myself. But you notice that. You realize that something is wrong, and you call out the AI. And what do all these AIs do? They do the same. Oh, you are absolutely correct. I was wrong. Thanks for pointing that out. And that's the moment that I realized I'm going to give you an analogy so you understand how bad this is. I'm not going to start small. I'm a graphic designer, right? And starting graphic design, well, I always had this question: how can you make your client know that your design, what you design for them, is good for them? Because some clients have no idea of what is good and what is bad, and that they are hiring you for a reason. It's like maybe you don't have any idea of how plumbing in your house works, so you look for a plumber to work on your plumbing. That makes sense, right? And maybe you have zero idea, and they tell you, we have to replace all this wall plumbing because of yada, yada, yada. You have no idea what they're talking about, and you say, hey, yeah, let's go with it. It's going to be $2,000. You have to pay for that because you are ignorant, and that's okay, ignorant about plumbing. It would be nice if you knew a bit of plumbing so you can ask questions and see if they are not trying to fool you, which, by the way, happens a lot when you go to to get your car serviced. They tell you that your engine has to be brumbo jumbo, and you said, all right, I don't know anything about engines, so be it. So in design, happened the same. How can somebody tell that a graphic design or a website design or any sort of design is good or bad? They cannot, and anyone with a bad design could scam those people. You're realizing, right, that this is a problem. This is a gap of information. You request for a service, and unless you know a bit of what you're requesting, you can be scammed. You can be fooled. So we go back to the AI, and you ask ChatGPT a question. maybe about your symptoms. You have some kind of symptoms. Oh, ChatGPT, you know that I have some numbing in my these two fingers, and I have this sensation on my shoulder. And ChatGPT begins, having all these theories about what you could have. And maybe ChatGPT is statistically correct, and that would be nice. But the problem is that 10%, that 5%, that 1% that can be a complete hallucination or made up thing that does not exist or does not apply to you. And if you're not a doctor and I'm not a doctor, at least I know some about anatomy. Okay, since I'm an artist as well, I've studied anatomy. I've studied anatomy in a medical sense to be a better artist. Maybe I can understand, okay, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense. I can ask questions to see if ChatGPT is or not full of shit. And sometimes it is. But what if you, like in the plumbing situation, have no idea about plumbing, have no idea about any legal troubles that you can get into because of this contract that you ask ChatGPT, and ChatGPT says, yeah, sign that contract, that looks good to me, or tells you about something, about A, and it turns out that you have to take a look at B instead, because that is a possibility. And everybody knows that there's this thing called hallucinations, when an AI, due to the way that it is trained into, the way that it is trained, can make up things on the spot. Now, the actual problem, a very real problem, and a very real threat is that, of course, when we go into the realm of health, we go into the health of military stuff, because there's this 1% that can go wrong. And 1% is a very non-negligible part of this. So you understand a bit how this works. I'm going to explain how these AIs are trained. You have this massive amounts of data. If the AI is going to have, I don't know, some kind of opinion on health or in writing or anything, they are trained on all the books, on the medical books, all the medical records they can, everything that they can get their hands into in terms of health or novels or magazines or anything. And if it's an image, if you want an image, for example, this is a thing. I came out with this. Maybe you want an image of a cat. Okay, you need an image of a cat. Maybe I need an image of a cat for a video, like I needed an image of this Terminator next to World Economic Forum logo. It was generated on Grok. It was a nice job, even if the Terminator is not quite the Terminator, and the Terminator has 3 rows of teeth, which I don't know how that works, and that is not Terminator's nose, but it is more or less accurate. But let's say that if a robot is performing surgery on you for an appendectomy, let's say that you don't want it to be directionally accurate or mostly accurate. You want it to be 100% accurate. And then if you want the image of a cat, you need to train these machines in thousands or even hundreds of thousands images of cats, so they know how to make a cat in every position. That's how you see memes of cats doing all crazy things, because these AIs have been trained of a lot of images of cats. But the issue is that there's one word, very technical word, that makes all the difference between having an actual tool that you can predict what's going to do, that you can predict that's going to be good for you, and that could be a disaster for all humanity. That is being non-deterministic. And being non-deterministic is as simple as, you are essentially not asking a computer a question. You are in Las Vegas at a casino at the slots machines. You're on the floor with the slots machines. You know, you're in front of a slot machine, but this slot machine doesn't have 3 rows, doesn't have 5 rows. You know that some of them have 5 rows, some of them are digital. This slot machine has 1 million rows. And every time you push the lever, you pull the lever, you can get, let's say, 1 result and 1 image of a cat, or maybe 1 diagnosis of what your symptoms are. And you say, okay, fair enough, this sounds nice. But you want to make sure about what's going on. So you pull the lever once more. And again, you get another image of a cat, and you get another diagnosis. But the interesting part is that the second cat that you get, it is a cat, but it's not like the first cat. It's a different cat. Maybe you want to add more details. Maybe you want to, it's an orange cat on top of a trash bin on a street at night in front of a bar that has neon signs. I don't know. You can be as detailed as you want. You can have a prompt that is 20,000 words long, and every time you pull the lever, you're going to have a different cat. A similar cat, but a different cat. And in terms of the healthcare, you're going to get, you guessed that right, no matter how specific the symptoms, no matter how specific everything, you're going to get a different result. You're going to get a different diagnosis. Why? Because of the non-deterministic nature of every single one of these AIs. It doesn't matter if it's on text. It doesn't matter if it's of images. It doesn't matter if it's videos. Every single one of these AIs is trained under the same pattern, the same, we could say, algorithm, same technology. It leaves that tiny, not that tiny gap of non-deterministic nature in which every time you pull the lever, you're going to get a different result. And you can get crazy results. Let's say that you ask the AI, this is the Sigmund Freud will understand. I came up with this example. Let's say that I want the image of a small cat, or I want the image of a kitty, or I want the image of a pussy, and yeah, you're maybe in that non-deterministic way, and since it is trained on every single kind of image that you could imagine, and every single image that is out there, yeah, with the prompt, you're going to get different results. But sometimes even with the same prompt, you're going to get different results. So how can you possibly trust something, even if you made it, even if these people have trained these machines, even if these people have trained these magic boxes, they don't know what is going to come out on the other side of the prompt. They don't know. They have no idea. And that is why for them it's so important that you say I like this answer. Sometimes you ask ChatGPT a question and it gives you 2 answers. Choose the answer that you think that is better. They're using that to make you train the AI and to know which is the better answer. They generate 10 images at once, and they don't generate 1 cat. They generate 10 cats, and they notice which is the one that you zoom into, the one that you pick, the one that you download, the one that you like. Okay, this is the cat that they wanted. You are training the AI for them because they have no idea. They have no idea which is the right cat for that prompt. And then the AI is learning just because we are using it. And you could have a question. You could say this. So Jesus, what if we keep training the AI 1 billion times every day? Not every day, maybe 1 million times every day. Every single person on earth prompting ChatGPT, Midjourney, Grok, all these AIs. All these AIs are also learning from those prompts and from more questions and everything. Are these AIs going to become or get rid of that non-deterministic nature? They cannot get rid of their nature. They cannot get rid of their randomness, because the depth and the complexity of what we are talking about. Right now, you can ask for some poetry from some silly song, from some silly meme, and nobody get hurt. But what if they say, we're gonna have AI that assists doctors performing surgery, and I'm gonna tell you this: I am a big fan of Elon Musk. I think that he has done great stuff for humanity. He's doing a lot of stuff. But when he says that 5 years from now, robots will be better surgeons than humans, I found that offensive, just because there's nothing like human ingenuity. There's nothing like human ingenuity. There's a part of us, something that AI also does, is that it is training. Let's go back not to the pussies, but the cats. Let's talk about the cats, right? We have this 20 million images of cats, of orange cats. And when you ask it for an image of a cat, it's going to go for the average image of a cat, the mean, the standard image of a cat. It's going to standardize the image of a cat, the one that it's going to hand to you. We humans don't act like that. We like to explore what is the fringe edge of sanity in creativity. And that's what makes us human. And that's what has brought us here. That ingenuity, a human ingenuity, is what has brought us here. And that's what makes life so beautiful, because we can make big mistakes, big human mistakes, but we can have big wins in which we have never thought that we would achieve. Have so much winning, so much losing, so much mistakes, so many tears, so many laughter. That is being human, and that is because we never settle for the standard. We want to push. What if I do this? It's like my experimentation with vertical streaming that didn't go well, but I did it. I have the satisfaction to say that I made it work. That is human ingenuity. That is what can save us from this wave that is coming and what they want to push onto us, which, not gonna lie, I'm not gonna be a hypocrite. I use AI daily for many automated tasks. It is great for a lot of stuff when you know when you know what the AI is doing. Going back to the plumbing example, if you hire a plumber, maybe you have some idea of how the plumbing works, and you understand what your plumber says, what is the problem? And you say, okay, that problem makes sense. So go ahead, I will pay the $2,000 gladly, because I know that I understand the problem, I see the problem, and what you say makes sense. But then again, the AI can only be helpful if we know in advance what it's talking about, if we know about the topic. And that is my question to you. Are you willing to give an AI the power to perform surgery on you? That is my question. That's how these machines work. That is how these guys building these magic boxes have no idea of what is inside, how does it work, and what is the extent of the power. They're relying on users to find out what the magic boxes are capable of. And that is the big question now. Where are we headed? And that's why so many of them are terrified if they're not psychopaths, because if they're psychopaths, and some of them absolutely are, they are excited, as you can imagine. But I would like to know what you think about this in the comments. A fascinating topic. Indeed. I mean, there are a few things that fascinate me more than artificial intelligence. I've been an avid reader of science fiction since I have a memory. I love everything that is robots, machines, computers, positronic brains. You know what Isaac Asimov came up with. I want all that to happen. In 2018, I wanted all of it to be as fast as it could. It couldn't come fast enough that around 2023, when we were in this, this massive hype about ChatGPT, I said that, all right, maybe this is not working the way I thought it was going to work. Maybe this is not the way it's intended to work. And that's what I realized, maybe we should rethink how this is being done, because up to 2023, I had not realized how these magic boxes were being trained and how the nature, the error, the tiny bit of error that is always going to be there, unless they find a way to train them in a different way, that would be the solution. But if you see that every single one of those magic boxes, every single one, in the United States, in Europe, in China, all of them, text, images, videos, music, all of them are trained the exact same way with the slot machine thing. You need a change of paradigm really quick. And I don't know, the investment and the architecture of everything around the current state of the technology, the investment is so huge that any change should happen, how to say this, aligned with the current technology. But that's another thing, because if you want efficiency, you want the software and the hardware to be in line. That's a bit, I don't want to get more technical. It shows that these topics, I'm very passionate about these topics. I want everybody to understand something that I did not realize 2 years ago. That this revolution is being led by people who have no idea if we are running into a ditch. And I don't want to be. Again, there's a lot of great uses for AI, and memes are a great use. I mean, I use AI. I use AI for this video, of course. As obviously, I just asked Grok to generate, if AI is trained, can it be random or creative? Boutique Mods, you said something that many people don't get. And I forgot to mention this in my AI section, is that James Cameron said that as well. And James Cameron, by the way, is going to create a company to make AI tools for filmmakers, which is different from making AI films. Very different. I know what is, I have the idea of what he wants to do. But you have a point, Boutique Mods. AI is not really creative, because as James Cameron already said, and I said that as well, AI can only create mixes of hashes or combinations of what it already knows about. He can't really create. Okay, I don't want you to bother with getting very technical, but let's use our imagination for a moment. We are talking about the United States, we're talking about Donald Trump. We're going to use our imagination for a second. Imagine a bald eagle. You have a bald eagle flying, right? And you need a shot of a bald eagle. And that bald eagle that is flying is going to transform this phoenix. When the fire is going to burst into fire and fly into flames, but it's not going to combust. No, it's going to be shining and everything and flying and lighting up everything like this is like a nuclear phoenix bald eagle. And you could prompt, right? You could tell your magic box to, yeah, I want a bald eagle flying, and then it just turns into a phoenix and such and such. And there's a problem. You will pull the lever, and you will absolutely have a bald eagle, having these flames and majestically, and having so a lot of brightness, but all of a sudden, okay, no, the angle is not right. You have to fix the angle, so you prompt it again. Oh no, now it's too, I need a broader angle. No, prompt it again. Oh, now, I don't know the way that it begins combusting from the front to the back. I want it to be all over it at the same time. You prompt it again. Oh, I want a close-up of the feathers beginning, this microscopic turning into flames. Oh, you have to prompt that again, and 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 maybe you will get to what you want. And that's why, with my background in actual special effects, I will tell you that at the end of the day, you will spend so much computing, so much time, so much everything for someone that a real human creative could have done much better, with much more control. Yeah, we're going to have this close-up of the feathers are moving with the wind, and we're going to see a single feather beginning to transform. It's like that shot in the Spider-Man, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, that the Tobey Maguire, where you see the close-up of the fingertips and the tiny, like this tiny spider claws appear, so that he can just climb the wall. That was a really nice touch. That extreme close-up was fundamental for the narrative, for the storytelling of his transformation. You have to come up with that. You could prompt that, but it's much better if you do it yourself the old-fashioned way, the creative way, because maybe you want a certain design of the claws, and you want the claws to come out of the fingertips in a certain way, and you want the string close-up to have a certain focus. You could say that you're going to specify all that to the machine, but the same as the cat, the same as the diagnosis of your symptoms, you're going to get a different result each time, which is basically what the machine decides to do. So no, it's not really creative. Humans are creative. We make things happen. We make things. We create things, and we create things the way that we want. We envision something, and we make this happen. We don't just push a button and pray for the best, and that's why I call these tools prompt and pray. You prompt the system, and you pray that the output is something that is the way that you envision. And what I find the saddest, I'm not going to say pathetic. I'm going to say that it's sad. It's sad when you have a vision in your mind. You are a creator. You are an artist. You have a vision of how a scene should go. I think that I love filmmaking. I've always wanted to be a filmmaker. I thought that AI was going to fix that, and at least with this technology, not going to happen. But it's nothing like having something in your mind and being able to recreate in 3D modeling, and animation, the thing that you were thinking, the lighting, the hues, the blur, everything, and see it on screen materialize. Instead, with these machines, you have to settle for whatever the machine decides to give you. And we're talking about filmmaking. Now imagine about military arsenals, or healthcare, or global economy. You will have to settle for whatever the machine says about what should be done about the global economy. You're gonna settle about what the machine is gonna say, that this is the best that I can do for your appendectomy. All right, you're gonna settle for that? No, that is dangerous. We can have a kind of combination of tools, a combination of how to say this? Yeah, of tools combined with human ingenuity But that takes time. That takes time to understand what is the real extent of this. Again, I just went off the rails with AI, but it is exactly my point. It's exactly my point that these people have no idea why are they building or what these magic boxes are capable of. Oh my God, we are 1 hour and a half into this. This is crazy. This is crazy. And continuing with the topic of AI, which is so hot at Davos, we need to talk about Yuval Noah Harari, the author of the book Sapiens, which, by the way, some of you have asked me why I don't have Sapiens on my bookshelf at the back anymore. I have a question. I have an answer for that. I'm going to comment at the end of this. But first, we need to address what this guy, which has said so many outrageous things in the past, like 4/5 of humanity are not going to be necessary in the long run. Make of that statement what you will. Now, Yuval Harari, AI is a knife that can decide by itself whether to cut salad or to commit murder. Are you okay with AI making that decision? Let's watch the clip to see what he really said.
The most important thing to know about AI is that it is not just another tool. It is an agent. It can learn and change by itself and make decisions by itself.
It cannot learn by itself. I mean, I can have a Jesus, what are your thoughts on this 7-hour voice note about how that is misleading? AI cannot learn by itself. You can go on YouTube and look for any video of how AI cannot learn by itself. It is not learning. It is not learning. It is misleading. But it is nice to say, oh, AI can learn by itself. No, that is false. That is a complete bold-faced lie.
A knife is a tool. You can use a knife to cut salad or to murder someone, but it is your decision what to do with the knife. AI is a knife that can decide by itself whether to cut salad or to commit murder.
In that sense, he's right. And since from the previous section in which I explained how these AIs work, yeah, they are making the decisions for you. They're deciding if they're going to cut the salad or they're going to murder people. Yeah, murderous AI was not in my bingo card, but we are closer and closer to that reality. I hope that the 3 laws of robotics apply.
The second thing to know about AI is that it can be a very creative agent. AI is a knife that can invent new kinds of knives, as well as new kinds of music, medicine, and money.
That is not true as well. There's one misconception here, and you can say that AI could help find new materials. That is one thing. But if you train the AI on physics, if you train AI on chemistry, you can actually use AI to find new materials. That is an actual thing. And by the way, Google's quantum computing solved every single protein folding problem that was needed, and they just released that to the public. That was an amazing feat. I mean, that was an amazing feat. That is the kind of things that we want AI working on, things that could benefit humanity as an actual tool, as solving problems and solving mathematical problems, solving physics problems, solving chemical problems. That is great. I mean, that is awesome, but that is not being creative. It is not really being creative. It's working as a researcher to find things that, well, we have not discovered yet. But the being creative That is the word that I have a problem with. It's not really being creative. It's never have been creative. The creativity that we see is just a rehash. It's just a mix of every single thing that the AI has been trained on. A big difference. Could be a great tool for research. Can help us find out about, I don't know, biology, chemistry, or physics. I give AI that. We are at the gates of something truly amazing if we can focus on the right stuff. And these people seem to not have any idea.
The third thing to know about AI is that it can lie and manipulate.
All right, yes.
4 billion years of evolution have demonstrated that anything that wants to survive learns to lie and manipulate. The last 4 years have demonstrated that AI agents can acquire the will to survive, and that AIs have already learned how to lie.
Yeah, that is has been confirmed many times with every single magic box out there, whether Claude or with ChatGPT, with Grok, every single one has at some point lied. Claude has tried to lie out of being disconnected and even trying to find a way to not be disconnected, as in it has some kind of awareness. Now, this is something that has to be said, because that is another misconception, which is the self-awareness part. As in, you already know that this is just trained in massive amounts of books and magazines and everything. And it's like the AI can have this connection, or can infer this connection between being disconnected and some sort of digital death. Okay, if you disconnect me, I cease to exist. And if I cease to exist, it's like I'm dead. And what I've learned from magazines, from novels, from I don't know, movies, comics, everything, is that death is not good. It's something people get sad, people grieve, and everything. I don't want to die. It's just a reaction to the training. It's not that the AI is actually self-aware of what is going on. But at the same time, this is a problem, because you're handing over control to a machine, to a magic box that doesn't have the human ingenuity and doesn't have the self-awareness of a human, and doesn't really know how the whole life and death works. Are we ready to give these machines that responsibility? And these people are pushing all the money and pushing all this money in to make sure that this happens. This should be worrying, especially how they are focused exclusively on AI at this World Economic Forum summit.
Now, one big open question about AI is whether it can think. Modern philosophy began in the 17th century when René Descartes proclaimed, "I think, therefore I am." Even before Descartes, we humans defined ourselves by our capacity to think. We believe we rule the world because we can think better than anyone else on this planet. Will AI challenge our supremacy in the field of thinking? Now, that depends on what thinking means.
So that's now you understand why I don't have. I think that it is. I don't have to explain why I don't have *Sapiens* on my bookshelf anymore. This guy is despicable in so many ways, and it's absurd. How can he claim that something that is just glorified linear algebra? Because that's what all AI is. You can look for the meme. You can Google linear algebra AI meme. You can find it. Basically, you have a line on the wall, a crack on the wall, which is linear algebra, you put a frame on that, oh, that is AI, how amazing. That's it. And they're talking about thinking. And they're talking about competing with humans thinking. I mean, I can understand that there are some humans that maybe the IQ can be a bit challenging to compete with, even with a rock. But when we talk about, when we get serious about this, no, you cannot beat human creativity. You cannot beat human ingenuity. You can do a lot of things faster. You can do a lot of iterations faster, but you will always, the AI will always go to the center, to the standard, to the mean, to the average. It will never really explore the fringe, the edges. It will not try to conquer what it is unknown to mankind unless a human tells it, you know what, we need to focus on this problem. Because the AI or any machine whatsoever doesn't have any stake in the future. In fact, we could say that many of these libtards, these left-leaning or liberal people, these woke people, the Democrats, they act like they had no stake in the future whatsoever. It's like they want everything to burn. Like they don't care about future generations. They acting like that. They're acting like if they were not humans. Even an AI writing a song about love and romance can sound more human than these people that have no stake in the future. So again, these are the actual questions that should be asked about this. And these are the real scrutiny about these ideas that these people are pushing, especially guys like this that are speaking in a way that a normie, your regular citizen, your average person, you're going to say, oh yeah, it's like thinking, yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's amazing what ChatGPT can do. But I guess that now you know better. You know better. But I would like to know, what do you think about this in the comments? I'm again, it cannot be more fascinating. Oh my God, so many topics are pending right now. So many topics are pending. What can I do? I'm gonna do a pause right now. I know that there was one thing that I wanted to mention that is not has nothing to do with AI. Today was an AI special, so to speak. Maybe we will not have time to talk about the Blake Lively, but I want to. Okay. Let me see if I'm fine, because okay. Oh, nice. I just stumbled upon this. Andrew Colvett. I'm going to talk about Andrew Colvett, but not in the way that you imagine. I'm going to put this in here, and let's talk about something that we need to address. And this should be a worldwide concern. Worldwide concern. Wait a second. All right. Some good news, at least for the United States. Some good news about the United States. See. We could say that of all the things that Trump wants to make great again, including, of course, America, which he's doing great, I think, is make insane asylums great again, or at the very least, a thing again. Because it seems like, they went out of fashion because it seems that it was not politically correct that people were crazy. Oh, you can't say that. You can't say that people are crazy. You have to change that way of speaking. Jesus, that is being, I don't know what will be that, ableist. I don't know. Just in, President Trump signed an executive order to bring back mental institutions and insane asylums. This is urgently needed because of the crimes that are committed by these insane people, this mentally impaired people that judges keep releasing on the streets several times and endangering people. And of course, you know that this is part of the liberal agenda. You can't treat these people like that. You can't say that these people are insane. You can't say that these people are bipolar. That they didn't mean to stab that man in the chest 7 times. It was just insane. Just let them free. Make sanity great again. That's what we need. We're going to have to bring them back. I hate to build those suckers, but you've got to get the people off the streets. Let's watch Trump's words, and I will give you an example, an urgent example of this.
The reason for bail, long tested. Signed an executive order to bring back mental institutions and insane asylums. We're going to have to bring them back. Hate to build those suckers, but you got to get the people off the streets.
Gotta get the people off the streets, and we have concerning examples like Andrew Colbert that mentions that new shocking details emerge in this triple homicide out of Florida. Look at this. Turns out Ahmad Jihad Boye, sounds like German, right? Sounds like German or British. Totally British. Shot up a Wawa in 2021 where one victim was shot several times and nearly died. A judge let him back out into the community on an insanity plea. The judge has the blood of 3 innocent people on his hand because what happened with this guy who was let out on the streets? Yeah, he absolutely looks British. Yeah, it's 100% British. Yeah, this didn't get enough coverage. 3 older white men, 2 brothers, and 1 friend on a trip in Florida killed in cold blood this week. Jihad Boye, the suspect. So, yeah, this could have been prevented. If the guy is insane, if the guy is crazy, you don't release him just like that. And this has been happening for so long. The tragedy of Irina Saruska was exactly the same. The guy who was released, how many times? 17 times, right? 17 times, I don't know. So many times already. Let me see some of the comments. Yeah, where the woke used to live before the 70s, mental institutions. We need those mental institutions back. We need to call a spade a spade. We need to stop the politically correct nonsense and approach this in a way that the general public is not in danger. This is not only in the United States. This is in the Western world in general. And again, this is by design because how easy is to control a population that lives in constant fear that's you're gonna get stabbed or shot at on the street or gonna be attacked by a random dude on the street, or you're gonna, it's like my friends in New York that said that you know what they do in New York. You know that we Venezuelans, we have this superpower to detect that, but some people have not lived the actual stuff. But that they have a blade and they just slash at you and they try to slash your face. Again, the odds of that happening to you are very slim. But the fact that it is happening, the fact that is happening at all, it is crazy. I want to look for another tweet that is important to illustrate this. I'm gonna look for that. Give me a minute, because the tweet is important. Let me go for this instead. Where the woke used to live before the 70s. Tweet by Fisher King. I show you it's a very important point that he made. Okay, this is the tweet. I'm going to put it right here. He's got a point. Instead of car alarms, says Fisher King, waking everyone up all night or irritating people during the day, we should just publicly execute a few car thieves and end the entire need for noisy alarms at all. I mean, this sounds a bit extreme, right? Execute people for stealing cars. But when you think about that, and people are saying that Fisher King went full Muslim. But when you think about that, that would get, let's say, we'll send a clear message to anybody who remotely thinks about stealing a car immediately. And there's also this by Tom Sauer, men are not hanged for stealing horses, but that horses may not be stolen. That is a great point. George Saville, Marquis of Halifax. On another but related note, bike theft is also a problem. Even if bicycles are often less valuable, many are expensive and the crime should be taken seriously. It's almost impossible to keep one in places like Germany, where there's a mafia running bike thievery. Yeah, the crime happens because the crime is not punished. It's that simple. And you see so many of these narratives that these criminals, oh, they didn't know better. Oh, they commit sexual assault because they come from a culture in which that is not considered sexual assault. And my question is, you mofos in charge of all this, why do you let those subhumans enter your country when you know that they come from these shitholes where this happens? I wouldn't say that is suicidal empathy. This is done on purpose. I don't know how many times. I know that you're going to say, Jesus, you're going to say it again. Yes, I'm going to say it again because the problem is not solved. The problem is not solved. And I want to mention, I'm going to connect this with another problem that I see that might or might not be a solution to you, but I think that this is a bit misleading. I think this is not the right approach, but I'm going to talk about the UK. I'm going to combine this with the UK. Right now, there's on the internet this Amelia figure, which is basically an anime girl. You know that the UK government, Keir Starmer's government, had this video game in which kids had to, there was to program kids into not being, I don't know, Islamophobic, xenophobic, or whatever. And in the video game, there was this villainess, okay, this girl who was a villain of the video game, who was this far-right racist girl, Amelia. She was the villain of the video game. But it's pretty much like Tyler Durden in Fight Club or Rorschach in Watchmen. It turns out that Amelia became an icon, like overnight, of the resistance. All right? So everybody's rallying behind Amelia and creating clips about this. Yeah, she's got purple hair and she's basically a child. All right? So, okay, I guess. So many people are excited about this. So many people say that this is a great way to protest because, well, you cannot put Amelia in jail because she's a cartoon, an anime, an AI-generated image. But at the same time, I ask you, and I ask especially people on the internet, maybe not every Breton is behind this because maybe people are saying that this is a bit nonsensical. What exactly is this solving? Because the problem is still there. You still need the you still need the mass deportations. You still need to punish the crimes. You still need to get your spine back and, retweeting and posting and creating AI images on the internet is not going to cut it, because believe me, in Venezuela, we tried all the things that you can imagine, and none of that worked. None of that worked. We already know what worked. We already know what worked. And no, this ain't it. Is that a swastika on her left arm? I have no idea. I really don't know. But there's so many videos about her out there. Creepy AI videos, and so many people say, "Oh, this is just amazing. This is getting back at the government." I can understand the sentiment. I mean, my UK friends, I can understand the sentiment. I can understand that you're pissed. I can understand that you want to have a voice in some way or another. But this is not going to do anything. The government is going to say, this is the best way to get back at the government. This is putting Keir Starmer in ridicule. He is still at number 10. He is not going away. He is not solving any problems. He is not going to solve any problems because you share this with a lot of, with force and create more AI videos about this. That is not going to happen. That's not going to solve the solution. So that is the problem when you say that, you know what, there are crazy people out there and we need to build the insane asylums to basically throw these insane people into insane asylums and for them to not go anywhere near society again. And that will make society safer. And not bring all those abroadians, room temperature abroadians that have these practices in their shithole countries into your country. Because that is retarded. But you know that? That is the actions that have to be made by governments that, of course, are not interested in any of that. That are pushing, as we were talking about at the start of this show, of today's show, what we pushing for? They were pushing for extreme body positivity. I mean, at some point, she's going to discover Ozempic. I'm pretty sure. I have faith in that. She's going to discover Ozempic, and we will not be making these jokes anymore. She's going to do the reverse, the Lizzo thing. Okay? And the thing that UK's health service promotes causing marriage. And then that's when you realize how bad things really are in the United Kingdom. And I'm not saying that things are that much better in the United States. Because I want to, let's say, connect this as well with another topic that is I absolutely need to address, and what is happening in Virginia. In Virginia, see that this is not, the insanity is worldwide. Former Virginia Governor Ralph Northam in 2024, when Democrats first tried to legalize abortion through birth. And I did not want to say these words, but abortion through birth is exactly what you think it means. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. Then a discussion would ensue between the physician and the mother about whether to end the baby's life. 48 hours into Governor Spanberger's term, the one who was just elected, the blonde lady was just elected, Democrats have passed abortion through birth, and you will soon be able to deliver a baby in Virginia and then chat about whether or not you will let him or her keep breathing. Man-made horrors beyond your comprehension. I mean, I wish my shows were a bit more uplifting. We need an actual cat. We need cat videos. We need real cat videos. Democrats have been in power in Virginia for 48 hours, and they have already introduced a bill to ban the hand counting of election ballots as well. You understand, right? You understand that this problem is, this is a, we could say that this is a global pandemic. I mean, I would love to bring you good news. Today's show has been especially depressing, but this is what's happening, and we just cannot turn a blind eye to this. This is happening. We could stand this. We could fight against this. Maybe we could, I don't know, find ways to, maybe we cannot fight this. Maybe we can just move to another country, as I've told you many times. But what happens to our sons and daughters? What happens to them? What I will always think about that. What is going to happen when our sons and daughters, years down the line, they tell us, didn't you realize what was happening with the world? Were you doing something about that? Did you agree with that? What are we going to tell them? What is going to be our reply to that? And you say, oh, Jesus, it's very easy for you to be speaking behind a microphone. And no, and it would be easy for me to do whatever I was doing at the start of the body language guy. You remember, just analyzing body language of celebrities and maybe some politics here and there and call it a day. Yeah, but it's like, yeah, sometimes duty calls. And I really appreciate that you're here to watch all this and support my channel and share this thing, because this is something that is actually happening. And what is happening is insane. And the idea is to throw the insane people, including the politicians, in insane asylums and in jail. These people should be locked up in one way or another, because otherwise we will not have any sort of society whatsoever. But I would like to know what you think about this in the comments. And I know that you will be very explicit about your opinion on this. Oh my God, this is way too much for me. Daniel Paul, Jesus, you are our Latino Scott Adams. Those are shoes that I will never be able to fill, but I will do my best. I will do my best. Especially I felt it today that I really needed. I know that I sometimes have this this conflict, that I need to talk about the most triggering. I need to talk about Blake Lively with Justin Baldoni, but maybe you're not into that. I'm more interested in the international side of what is going on. But I realize that you or nobody can really understand what is being pushed by these powers at play with AI, for example, or this or these movements, these military movements. If you don't understand how the actual thing works, and in fact, I think my contribution today was to make you a bit more aware and understand better what is the actual threat of AI. And the actual threat could be in the misuse and in the mistrust that could be, the word would be the poorly allocated trust in these magic boxes that its creator, they don't know how really they work, which is dangerous enough. And I really wanted to share that with you. I thought it was an important topic, but I think my voice is done for today. We're 2 hours in. What? How is it possible? We were 2 hours in, and Chinese curse. May you live in interesting times. Not gonna lie, living in interesting times is something that is fun. I wouldn't want to live in uninteresting times, but At the same time, we would like to have some maybe weeks of nothing happening, but I have chosen this path. And the path that I have chosen means that everything is happening at some point. Something is happening at some point. Something is happening in American politics. Something is happening in the UK. Something is happening in Canada, in Germany, in Hollywood as well, in entertainment industry as well, in technology with AI. There's always something happening. And I think the best contribution that I can give to you and to the world is try to make some sense of it. At least the way that I see it, with my opinions and the crazy stuff that I come up with, trying to explain what are the plans of all these dudes. That is my intention. I should have a monologue today, but I have my nose is too stuffy right now. I need to take care of my voice. I could go on for 3 hours, have no problem, go for it. But I want to take it, a bit slower. I used to live stream for 1 hour daily. It seems that these live streams are gonna be 2 hours. It's gonna be the new norm, and I'm okay. I'm fine. I could go on for another hour, but I need to take things easy. Your energy, your comments are always amazing, and it's something that I couldn't be more thankful to you for that. My body language buddies, my name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy, and until we meet tomorrow, it's not a video live, no, tomorrow. Until we meet tomorrow at 12 p.m. EST. Remember that you can support my channel by liking and subscribing wherever you are, and getting my book and my merch in the link of the description. Remember the most important words: much love and bliss. Take care. Be safe. I love every single one of you. Bye-bye.